So I wanted to talk to you guys and finish telling you guys the story. And unfortunately, from here on out, from this point out, the story gets very sad. I left off and I was telling you guys how my mom was like, don't mind the Lego bag. It's my son's like part of his birthday present. We left off yesterday. How this all affected my mom and her surgery, and how my brother and his wife, you know, my mom gets out of surgery and their first concern is sending flowers to her room. And I'm like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit about flowers, dude? Like, you ever just look at somebody and you're just like, where's your fucking head at, dude? Like, really, where's your brain? It reminds me of that commercial from when I was little where, like, the guy cracks the egg into the frying pan and he's like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. I'm like, dude, like, where the fuck is your head at right now? Why are you worried about flowers? Of all things in the world, just get the fuck down here. Like, there's no need. She's like out of it. She doesn't need flowers. I feel those things are done by his wife to like put the show on, to make everybody think that she's like this great, nice person who gives a shit. No, that's the furthest from the truth. I don't think she gives a fuck about my mom. Because to me, if you give a fuck about somebody, you show up. You're there. They didn't come over her house or, you know, hang out with her when she was sick. They're full of shit. It's a show. It's all for show. In the time between like Christmas and my mom's surgery in February, they never came by. They never did anything. They never volunteered or helped her or really did anything. At the same time, my family, I have to add this in because like all this shit was going on at once. When my mom went into the hospital in December, I will never forget this. I was at the hospital. I had texted her one sister to let her know that I brought her to the hospital, right? Thinking with the mindset that she would tell all the other sisters that I brought her to the hospital, because like I didn't have time to sit there calling everybody up and telling them that she was in the emergency room. So this is going back to the day after Christmas. I put a message on Facebook. It was like, I was at the emergency room for like fucking 8-9 hours at that point, and I'm finding out all this shit that I didn't know. You know, like my mom wasn't telling me things about her health that like, so I'm sitting there and finding out all this shit, right? I'm in the hospital. You know, you're not supposed to really sit in the hospital talking on the phone. Like, you're in the emergency room. There's people that are sick everywhere. They're not feeling well. And I went outside. I called my husband. I called one of my mom's one younger sister, who I'll call Debbie. And I'm thinking she's going to tell everybody. So the next morning, I make a group message in Facebook because I figured like that's just the easiest way to get in touch with everybody. Dude, these people live on Facebook, okay? Let me just tell you. They're fucking all over Facebook. So I was like, you know, I'm going to do it this way because it's the easiest way for me to do it right now. I got a message back from my mom's oldest sister, and she's like, what, does nobody believe in phones anymore? And I'm like, did you want me to call you at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning? Like, I was at the hospital. I can't talk on the phone. You have the balls to sit here and complain that I didn't fucking call you in the middle of the night? You know now, don't you? It's not like you were gonna get in your car and drive down here and fucking hang out at the hospital, like, with me. It's like this whole fucking huge fight. It was ridiculous. It's just like, dude, put the bullshit aside. You know, our mom has cancer. At this point, we knew she had cancer. So just like, put the bullshit aside. Oh, so I want to go back to the day of my mom's surgery. That's what I want to talk about. The day of my mom's surgery, I slept over her house. I couldn't fucking sleep. I was really nervous. She was really nervous. I didn't go to bed until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleeping on her couch, which her couch was so fucking uncomfortable. Like, I think we had to get up at like 4 or like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So I have like 2 hours of sleep, right? We had to drive an hour away from where we were. And then we had to like sit there. I stayed there for 14 fucking hours. Like, her surgery ended up taking a lot longer than they expected it to. At that point in time, we knew that my mom had this 8-inch mass on her kidney. And then the other thing was that she had, they said they were going to remove a couple of lymph nodes that they felt were affected in the surrounding area. We ended up finding out after her surgery that she had way more lymph nodes affected than we had originally thought, and so they removed as many as they could, but they couldn't get them all. And like, that was concerning, you know? So we had to wait, I think, about a month to like get the pathology report back. as she's in the hospital recovering, she had a really fucking rough recovery. And like, I know from when I got my C-section done, when you have like an incision right in your core of your body, it is hard. I had to blame my mom a little bit, okay? And you guys are gonna be like, what? Like, that sounds fucked up. And let me just explain this. My mom doesn't like to bother other people. Like, she doesn't like to ask other people to do things for her, and she doesn't like to depend on other people. And she's always been like that. She's very independent, my mom. Always was. But she just wanted to get the fuck out of the hospital. You know, and everybody gets like that. Like, the hospital is not a fun place. You don't sleep in the hospital. You sleep, but you fucking get woken up all the time. This nurse is taking your blood pressure. This nurse is doing that. People are talking in the hallway. It's not like a fucking nice place to be. So she was there for about, I want to say about like 7 days, because I think she went in February 10th. It was like 7 to 10 days, right? I was at the hospital. I would wait for my husband to get home from work every night. I would fucking drive an hour away. I would sit at the hospital with her. I think during that whole stretch of time, my brother came the day of the surgery, and then I think they might have come one other time. So out of like the 10 days she was there, 7 to 10 days, they came twice. And I went there every night, except one night. She was supposed to get out of the hospital. She was having such a hard time with this recovery. She was able to walk. You know, we got her up on her feet. I would go there. We would walk around. We would talk. Of course, she's on, you know, painkillers and all this shit. In my eyes, she wasn't in shape to go home. I'm trying to imagine myself, okay? I got my C-section. When I went home, it was rough, dude. My husband went back to work like the day after I got home, and that was it. Like, I was on my own, and it was really fucking hard. I had to take care of a baby on top of that. So now you're taking somebody who's, you know, older, way older than me, in her 60s, or 61 at the time. She had a way bigger fucking incision than I had. I mean, my incision was like this, okay? Hers was 8 inches about. She has cancer. She's having all these other, you know, problems. She's in pain. I'm trying to picture how the fuck is this woman going to take care of herself. I was so concerned of her going home because I also had to be realistic. My brother doesn't fucking do anything for anybody because he's so fucking selfish. You know, but at the same time, I had to be realistic about my own life. About how often can I really get to her house? I can't be there all day. She had already set up her job. My mom's crazy. They basically let her work remotely from home. So she had her whole office, you know, painted and whatever and whatnot. And then they had, you know, she had her computer and everything for work. My mom was a workaholic. She worked her fucking ass off. Up until she died. The day I brought her into the hospital for the last time, she was working. She's like, let me go home and put a couple of hours in. Meanwhile, this woman was in like the worst pain I've ever seen anybody in my life. So, you know, she's going home. I'm like, how's this woman going to do laundry? How's she going to bathe herself? How's she going to feed herself? Like, there's nobody there. You know, I'm sitting here concerned about her having to go home by herself. And I have this whole group chat going with all my aunts and my uncles, right? And like a couple of my cousins and shit that are older and kind of like know what, you know, what it's like to take care of somebody. So I'm expressing my concerns because, again, I don't have like an older adult like my dad or like anybody else around. The only people I really have to talk to is my aunts and uncles because my brother's being a fucking asshole and won't even talk to me. They're the only people I really have to go to and like bounce ideas off of and like get opinions from. So I start asking in this message thread on Facebook, I'm like, you know, I'm really concerned about her. This is towards like the end of her hospital stay. I'm like, I'm really concerned about her coming home. So the one night I didn't go. My mom's younger sister, Debbie, she comes and she's like, oh, she's fine. I went there last night and she was fine. She could walk and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, and I'll show you guys this just to prove I'm not lying about this. I said, I'm concerned about her going home. I'd like to talk to a social worker or something. And she's like, you know, she's fine. I'm like, you know, I'm just concerned. How's she going to, you know, go food shopping and cook dinners and do laundry? Here's what her answers were, okay? This is my mom's sister. She goes, well, she's not going to make that much laundry. I'm like, oh, okay. So you want my mom. Oh, and wait, let me just back this up. I have to add, too. My mom's transplanted kidney wasn't doing good at this point either. After the surgery, that's like what was like also another thing that was really bad. Her, you know, she was starting to kind of slowly but surely get symptoms of kidney failure. And her kidney was not working and functioning properly. And her doctor told her to go on this like low sodium diet, and you know, my mom just doesn't listen. She just didn't listen to anybody. So now let me go back to what my aunt said. Like, I'm like, you know, I'm just concerned. How is she going to do her laundry and stuff? And she's like, she's not going to make that much laundry. She's not going to work. And I'm thinking like, oh, so I should just leave her in dirty clothes all the time? I'm just kind of thinking out loud in this message. I'm like, you know, how's she going to make dinner? How's she going to go food shopping? And my aunt's like, oh, she doesn't have to make dinner. Go get her cold cuts. Excuse me? Wait, did you just fucking say to go get my mom, who you know her kidney's not doing well? You just told me to go get her fucking sodium fucking cold cuts. You know that her doctor told her to cut her sodium down, and you're telling me to go get her fucking cold cuts, which is like the worst thing you could give somebody who needs to be on a low sodium diet. Like, that's your fucking answer? And let me just tell you something. They could get fucking mad at me if they want. Up until that point, and I didn't realize this until way after, one of my mom's fucking sisters, or brothers, for that matter, offered to fucking help. Now, one of her brothers lives far away, so I'm not even gonna count him. Not one of her sisters that she's so close with offered to, like, hey, you know what? I'll cook dinner and bring leftovers over to her house. I mean, we're like far from them, but it's like a 15-20 minute ride far. Not one of them offered to come over and help her with laundry, or even to just come visit her and fucking hang out with her and sit with her. And I'm like, at that point, I didn't even like pick up on that. I didn't notice this until way after. Somebody had actually pointed out to me. And then they're giving me these solutions. I'm like, well, I'm just nervous about her coming home. I just think there should be somebody there. Like, I don't feel comfortable with her going home by herself. So my one aunt, Debbie, she starts fucking arguing with me. And then she's like taunting me. She keeps coming back in the message. And she's like, did you talk to the social worker? What did she say? What did she say? Because she just wanted to be right that my mom didn't need help. Because she's like, they wouldn't be letting her go. They wouldn't be releasing her. My mom probably lied to the hospital and told them, yeah, I have my daughter staying with me. I know my mom. I feel like if they knew she was going home alone at that point in time, they would not have sent her alone. But my aunt is like taking this opportunity in this fucking message, in this group message, to make me look like an asshole because I'm concerned about my mom going home by herself. Like, I don't get it. Why are you fucking arguing with me? They're like upset that they didn't think about it, because this is like a thing again with them, that it's like, we have to be the person who cares the most. You know, they don't want to be outdone by anybody. God forbid I out-cared for my mom. So fucking, it just doesn't even make sense. I'm gonna end this one. I'm gonna come back after this.